Alright, y'all, we're back here again. It's been a minute. Wasn't really much big news to cover, nothing that I thought was worth covering at least, and I'm kind of glad I didn't cover Lilium at all, you know, with the buff and whatnot. But they got a new developer update, and we're just gonna take a look at everything they go over real quick, and I don't know, see if there's anything interesting to really glean off of this. So our first point right here, we're committing to a more active dialogue within the community. You know, I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, Dreamscape was what, like, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, maybe more than that, maybe less. I don't really remember. It's been a hot minute though, and we haven't really heard any feedback about that whatsoever, even though people were pretty vocal, including myself, about it. And then the rest of the post is, the only really big thing I saw was that the RTA meta, they want to discuss that with the community and how to balance their game going forward. So, you know, instead of being great game devs and figuring it out themselves, they're going to have to seek out player advice, which I kid a little bit, but they bring it up a few times actually about asking the community for help about, I don't know, how to design their game. Previously, we had nerfed Revelation due to many community complaints. Interesting to see that they're saying it's because community complaints, not necessarily because they looked at the numbers and whatnot and saw what needs to be dropped down. Like, a big one I would imagine is like play rate, like how many people are actually running Revelation, how many people are running Bloodbath or whatever else. Because the higher those are, the more likely that is the meta, you know? So those were things that you'd want to bring down to kind of make a more diverse meta, which is funny that they did the opposite. All right, second bar from XD, time synced solutions in process. The end game grind can feel like a chore sometimes, yada yada blah blah. Exploring ways to preserve the health of early game autoing. I'm not really sure what that means, the health of early game autoing, but there's that. And then while introducing smarter, less time-intensive farming options for the late game. So essentially, it just means that they want to streamline late game grind, whatever that would mean as far as, I don't know, shells, gear, who knows exactly. I think really the bigger issue is like the huge time sinks that we have to keep doing, Trek, Rally, etc. Funny they say, increasing available auto clears in the early game can be risky as new players tend to be less efficient with using resources until they have more knowledge and experience, which is true, but at the same time, you kind of just have to run anything, whatever, just to get your XP up so you can actually grind the harder stuff to begin with. So, I don't know, kind of a moot point for me. But here again, they ask if you have any ideas you'd like us to consider, submit feedback. So they seem receptive to feedback. I think it's just funny that they keep asking for feedback on a lot of these things rather than being confident in the decisions that they make. Ember Trek, this is a big one, but it's, for me, it's a little, I'm half pleased with this. They're basically going to let us now, if you've already beaten the previous season, in the next season, which this will be coming into the next reset of Trek, it will let you skip past all of the normal mode except for the last boss, but then you still have to run through all of hard mode. This feels like a bit of a half-assed benefit. I'm still very happy about it. At least that's like half of it gone. But my problem with it is like, why not just do the whole fucking thing? You know, anybody who's cleared Trek all the way up to hard, they don't need to do that shit anymore. Like, they've already done it before. There's not really gonna be anything new or interesting going on there. But there is one. Let me see if I can find the part. Here we go. We do believe having a game mode where you are able to see the main character and Chaku interact and move around is important. So this just screams to me that they want to make sure that people feel justified in purchasing the main character skins and the Chaku skins, you know, that fucking hollow MC that, you know, is basically an emotionless husk. But yeah, it seems like they're going to be pretty dead set on keeping that around, in my opinion, so they can sell skins instead of just streamlining the whole thing and letting us skip through the whole thing and then maybe just like do like just the boss stages alone would be fine, in my opinion, because at least then that makes a little more sense, and running around is pointless and a huge time waste. Next up, Anti-Sync Echoes and Union Boss will be getting ×5 speed. If we look here, you'll see that I still haven't done it. I don't know why Anti-Sync Echoes, I get that they just keep getting tankier and tankier, so the stages end up taking pretty long because it's just, you know, they're just fucking damage sponges. But I don't see why Anti-Sync Echoes of all the modes was the one that is going to end up getting ×5. The Guild Boss, I'm 100% cool with that. Point number 3, working on more rewarding player-friendly monetization options. I don't know what player-friendly means when it comes to monetization options, but that's a funny choice of words. Future purchases will focus more on value, choice, and utility. Some ideas we have are something that would involve both gameplay benefits and resource rewards, offering cheap daily stamina packs and potential adjustments to what is currently available in our week shops. I mean, when I look at like the regular pack, or I should say like the rotating packs, not so much like the weekly and whatnots, but when I look at the packs that they get whenever they get new banners and whatnot coming out, I feel like those are actually pretty good value, you know, especially compared to a lot of other games. In the context of this game, it's not as good, but I'm curious as to what they're going to do with these newfound packs. To me, it just sounds like it's going to be stamina and then, I don't know, upgrade materials, and then probably the module essences so you can craft the random sets of gear and whatnots, but I don't know, that doesn't seem like that crazy to me. Maybe it's something more for whales to sink into though, so, you know, I mean, you gotta keep the lights on, so you gotta give the whales whatever the whales are needing. This one's gonna be big for a lot of people, I know. Animus skins, they're finally designing new, unique Animus skins, which, you know, good. Stop selling those recolors, those overpriced pieces of shit. You hit I've said it before. You hit a hue slider and charge whatever it is, fucking $10, $15 for it. Ridiculous. Yeah, unique skins, cool. I'm very curious how they're gonna price those out. I know in a lot of games when they started to add skins, like I believe in Nikkei, they did like the whole gacha skins, which are ridiculously expensive. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think they're gonna be too crazily priced, but you know, who knows. All right, PvP has been a hot topic. Can I just commend whoever wrote this? I don't know if it was Chris, the community manager, whoever, but bolding all these like highlighted points. Oh my, oh, it's beautiful. I've already read through all of this stuff, but being able to kind of come back and look through it again with the bolded points really makes it a lot easier. So I don't actually have to sit and read through it all. But next point is PvP meta and real-time arena considerations. Going to be collaborating directly with top RTA players and the wider community. Interesting to see. I'm not really, like, I don't have a lot of experience with these mobile PvP focused games, so I don't know if the community thinks that it's like very good to be what's the word I'm looking for, consulting with like top RTA players. I imagine that's like a good thing. I think it's good to get perspective on people who will have a better beat on the pulse as far as the meta goes, what's fun and what's not fun, but at the same time, they aren't working for the company, so inherently they're going to be biased towards, you know, whatever it is their biases lie, whether that is, you know, themselves, community, enjoyment, etc., whatever. But either way, I do think that is good. A mid-season balance patch is under heavy consideration, which is goofy to say when they already buffed Lilium in the middle of the PvP season, which my opinion is probably going to go against the grain, but I don't think that she needed to be buffed. She was very specifically seemed to be marketed as a PvP unit. She was very strong in what she already did, and then they made her even stronger and more ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, obviously really good for PvE now as well, but I think it was a very unnecessary buff. We've stated previously, only make adjustments between seasons. We have already shown recently with Lilium that we are open to adjustments as long as it feels necessary or something has not met our design expectations. With feedback from the community, we believe it may be better to avoid waiting 2 months to fix major pain points given current feelings towards RTA. I'll double back on this in a second. We hope to stick to our original plan to make most major changes between seasons. In our last season adjustment, we had nerfed Revelation due to many complaints about feeling unfun and demotivating for players, especially in the lower ranks of RTA. Which it is true. In lower ranks, it is pretty much just a sweep, you know? There's not much you can do about it. It's pretty bad for players who do not have gear to kind of compete on that level. But at the same time, it does get equalized as you play more, so... While this change was heavily requested within the community, it came with unexpected consequences that have allowed the bruiser meta to dominate. Unfortunately, sometimes during testing, we may not always be able to predict exactly how a meta with hundreds of thousands of players will develop, giving us a sign that we need to be more directly involved with our player base when making these decisions. Many would argue the current meta is much less engaging than the previous season. We want to fix this as soon as possible if no solutions are being found with the tools that are currently available. I had this highlighted for the current feelings towards RTA, which I think... You know, I'm not going to speak for everybody, I'll speak for myself, but I'd have to imagine the general consensus is that this season pretty much sucks ass compared to the last season. What really blows me away is how they... Few things. One is that they say nerfing Revelation came with unexpected consequences. One is previously in the interview video thing that they did with the content creators is that Jack said that there are people are playing the game in-house, in their studio. People who are working on the game are also playing the game. So it's a little weird to me that it was unexpected that when they nerfed Revelation, one of the 3 dominating, you know, archetypes in Season 1, that the other 2 would float up. And naturally, with one of them gone, it basically means that, you know, whichever one is going to counter the other playstyle more is going to come out on top. We already knew Bloodbath was pretty fucking strong in Season 1. It's why a lot of people were building it towards the end of Season 1. On top of that, they ended up buffing, you know, some meta bruisers that were already, you know, doing very well in Season 1, you know, Hold and Rahu. So seeing the Revelation nerf and then seeing Bloodbath rise up and then, you know, completely dominate, I don't see in what world that was unexpected. It was wild to me that that was how they decided to balance anyway. Again, I think it was because they didn't want to nerf a lot of things in general and then have to give out a reset event. I think that's the last thing they want to do. But I don't think that you should try and go in that direction to the detriment of the health of your game. So a little crazy to me that they nerf Rev and think that everything else was going to be fine and dandy. I don't think nothing else is going to push out of that. Revelation just kind of gave some people more of a fighting chance. All right, we encourage you to create feedback on your thoughts of a potential mid-season balance change. They want input from players of all levels, low and high, whether it be something like nerfing Bloodbath slightly in PvP only. I do like that they are going with these changes that are PvP problems and keeping it in PvP. That is nice, because Bloodbath has actually been coming up a bit in PvE for me, which is kind of nice. Buffing unused DPS shells. In general, I think, I don't know, it's a topic for another time, but I think shells in general just provide way too much power and sway over metas in the game rather than character. Like, a lot of the power is dictated by, so far at least, the sets and primarily the shells rather than the characters themselves. Reverting our previous Revelation nerf if it is requested enough. I get wanting to listen to the community, and you should listen to the community. I think there's some things that you should just kind of run the numbers and, you know, I don't know, you're the game designers, not us, so I feel like if we listen to the community too much on a lot of things that are pain points, it's like clearly there's a problem there, but the solution doesn't necessarily mean whatever's being said. So like, Revelation is too strong. Does that mean nerf Revelation, or does it mean that there's a different solution elsewhere? Clearly the answer wasn't just nerf Revelation. Anyway, many of our upcoming changes and general focus will be directly aimed at helping players reach a competitive level. So this is going to, they seem to have some kind of a design philosophy where they want to help catch people up or get more people playing RTA at all levels. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. That's it for that. You know, I've got some thoughts on that. But the next point, gear and customization upgrades. So Module Essence Shop is being overhauled to allow more flexibility. They say overhaul, it seems like they're just adding in something new to buy or a new feature, I guess. So in addition, so this is in addition, they're not getting rid of what you can already get out of the Module Essence. By the way, if you don't remember what Module Essence is, it's the stuff that you get a few times as a, you know, free-to-play player, and then you never really get the currency again because there's no way to earn it, so you pretty much just have to buy it, or if they end up giving them out as rewards. So in addition to the random way of obtaining the modules in that shop, players will also be able to buy modules with confirmed main attributes and sub-attributes. So interesting, you're going to be able to probably spend more currency and then be able to pick out probably the set, the main stat, and then maybe a sub or two that you want on it for maybe a higher price, or maybe it'll be a whole other menu that you kind of click those options and then the price goes up as you add options. We'll see if they end up finding or some way to get that currency at least. I'd imagine that they would give it out by like breaking down gear. That make the most sense to me. I felt like that. Originally I thought before, you know, we got to this point in the Module Essence shop that was how it was going to work, but you know, that too good to be true. And now a new gear crafting system is wrapping up development and will be included in an upcoming patch designed to give you greater control over your builds without relying on RNG alone. Important thing here, I didn't notice the first time around when I saw it, will be released to the players as an event that will routinely occur at least once per month. So this will be another monthly type event, much like the double drop event. It's not going to be a permanent feature, which I think is, you know, why not just make it a feature? But it's going to be a rotating event. And so based on the screenshots we already have, it looks pretty simple. You know, it looks like you're going to pick a set, pick a main stat, and then you will re-roll the substats, and then you'll be able to lock and probably spend more currency to then re-roll the rest of your stats. You'll lock in the ones you want to keep. You know, it'll depend on the system, you know, how we end up seeing, you know, how easy is it to actually get the perfect gear or whatever. But in my opinion, this event is pretty unnecessary when it comes to a bigger problem, in my opinion, which is shells. Shells are super RNG, super difficult to get anything that you actually want. Gear is also like, you know, it's up there, but who cares about, in my opinion, who cares about getting perfect substatic gear? Because if it all rolls into flat attack anyway, I'm fucked. The gear's, you know, it's not worthless, but it's dog water now, and the whole event was kind of just like wasted. Whereas, you know, most of the power and RNG in your gear is going to be where it ends up rolling anyway. A neat thing to see, but really doesn't address anything in my opinion, you know, with the gear strictly. Because again, it's going to be RNG dictating what you actually roll into. If I need, you know, fast gear and it all rolls outside of speed, then it's the same situation that it already was before. And I think that with the double drops, gear's already kind of somewhat, not solved, but it's a little cleaner and nicer than it is already with doing shells. Because right now it's pretty much farm shells all month, and then when double drops come around, we go farm gear. And that's just kind of how it goes right now. And probably the most controversial and the funniest part of the whole note is Inferno Rengo. Help is on the way. So we know the Inferno Rengo boss has been a wall for many of you, and we're addressing it directly. A new banner is coming and features a character specifically designed to help crush Rengo and other challenging PvE content. Yada yada, blah blah. For example, try them out with Lilium. So the answer to Rengo's a little too RNG, a little too busted, is, hey, just pull these new guys. And, you know, if you have Lilium too, you know, the most recent Apex unit, if you burned all your summons there, then fuck yeah, go to town with them. This is also on the cusp of the summon event, which we based on the schedules and rotations, you know, we already know that RGB banners were coming, but it's just funny that the answer to Rengo is, let's give them a summon event so they burn all their currency and then drop RGB banners that are specifically for like the most problematic farming boss. So take that as you will. The nerf to Rengo is just pull the new shit, you know, create the problem and sell the solution. Classic gotchas. Alright, almost at the end. Future events. Many players have been discussing dissatisfaction with RNG in our latest Dreamscape event. Not every player likes taking risk, and those who prefer to play it safe should have fixed reward options that do not rely on RNG. In the next run, we will make sure to include fixed reward options for these players. We'll see what this ends up meaning. Right now, I don't have strong hopes as far as whatever direction they're going to be taking Dreamscape in, but whatever they do, I imagine it can't be worse than it already is. This fixed reward option, if it ends up being worse than pretty much anything else though, then I don't know. Anyway. Last is the global launch celebration. So this one actually is pretty big. Game will officially be available in more parts of the world. Stay tuned for playing competitively against players in regions like China, Japan, South Korea, and more. So who knows what the more is, but finally the game is being released into the larger Eastern region, you know. The big hitters, you know, South Korea, China, and Japan. Mostly China. That is usually where most gacha games revenue comes from, so this will definitely be a big boost for them, and this will, once these release and, you know, we get a month in, we'll actually be able to solidly see kind of where the game is ranking as far as popularity and, you know, revenue when it comes to a lot of the other big hitters. More importantly for me though is especially the Chinese and the Korean player base, they're very outspoken players, so if they're ever upset about anything, the fucking devs will know. Whereas in global, players are usually pretty meek about problems and they like to kind of band, you know, with the devs, I should say. So it gets a little like back and forth and kind of almost nothing gets done. That's not me to say that I think, you know, anybody is perfect. I do think that in a lot of situations, a lot of these outbursts, you know, like specifically if you are familiar at all with what is it, Girls Frontline 2, a lot of drama in there is just kind of cringe, but you know, I'm hoping at least with these releases some good things will be coming out of the game. But yeah, we're gonna get rewards for those releases that are coming up, so that's cool. Yeah, that's about all the news, and yeah, Adachi's a big ol' grouchy, negative Nancy again, like always, but, you know, I don't want to see any game do poorly or fail unless, you know, I think they rightfully deserve it because, you know, they're just 100% anti-consumer. I don't think this game is that whatsoever. I enjoy the game. I like it. I want to see it succeed and do well. And right now, you know, I think a lot of players are feeling the burn, and it's kind of going the way I expected. is that there isn't really a space for more casual players or people with less time on their hands. A lot of these things that you have to do every month, every week, or every day are very time consuming. You know, I mean, like Rengo, my RNG is pretty bad on it, so even though I don't really do many refreshes, I'm still having to kind of check in throughout the day repeatedly just so I can kind of burn my stamina and get these grinds in. Trek is so fucking long. I streamed one run of Trek before where we made it to, I don't know, probably the first quarter of hard, and that was like, I don't remember. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I'm right on the money. It was like 5 or 6 hours, something like that. Like, so it's a long fucking time. And Rally is also long, not because it's difficult. I haven't even started it yet, but because you have to go in, click all these nodes, swap around your teams, move around gear. You know, maybe not so much the moving around gear and whatnot, but you have to do a lot of fights that are pretty dog water. You know, you don't really have to pay attention whatsoever, but it's the fact that you got to sit there and do it. And then the challenge, if you're like me, you know, it's easy to kind of look back now at all of your stuff and, you know, everything's beat, everything's cleared, everything's done, and it's whatever. But, you know, I really think back to when you first started grinding through the game and getting up into Hell, and especially getting into Inferno, and just like what a slog and what a grind and how painful it was to actually get up into there. And now try to put yourself in the shoes of somebody else who is now just starting the game. And I think that these pain points are going to repeat and recycle for the new regions that are going to be opening up. And I think already this is a hard sell for a larger audience. And I say all that because it seems like a lot of people are, you know, burning out and dropping the game, and it's going to happen with all games. But I think that a lot of this has been kind of on the developers more so than anybody else, really. Looking at the developer note from today, for the players that were already on the edge of dropping the game, nothing here really screams to me that that's going to be changing their minds. You know, a lot of this is also like not even stuff that's like immediate. A lot of this stuff is stuff that's coming down the line. Now, they're pretty quick about these things, so I assume we'll actually be seeing these coming up pretty quickly. They've probably been in the works for a while. But, you know, nothing here is really immediate, and nothing here is really going to be keep people hanging around. Nor would it instill confidence, especially when it comes to a lot of the stuff where they're like, you know, give us suggestions on monetization, give us suggestions on, you know, the grind, give us suggestions on, I don't remember where they said it, but somewhere in here, give us suggestions on RTA balance. It just doesn't instill a lot of confidence as far as where they're taking the game, how to create content, how to balance it, and how to, you know, make money off of it. So overall, I think this developer update, you know, which was touted as big news by, I don't remember if it's the community manager or the devs, but it was supposed to be the big news to look forward to. And it's all right. It's definitely not bad, but there's nothing I'm too excited about. The RTA balance changes, if that's coming anytime soon. Well, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's actually like they have anything solid in mind yet, so it'll probably be a minute on that one. I don't really, the gear thing is whatever, you know, I farm a lot of double drop gear, and yeah, I guess give me more opportunities to try and roll some decent pieces. I will say I like the designs of the new units. You know, they look neat. I'll definitely be looking forward to pulling them, but yeah, overall, not too much. I'd say probably the most exciting thing for me, honestly, is like the other regions opening up. I'm curious to get different perspectives, get more eyes on the game, and you know, it'll be nice and fresh to see kind of how other people tackle things and what kind of feedback they have. So yeah, anyways, thanks everybody for watching. Take care, and see you in the next one.